Good morning, I'm Maddie Jansen, and this is the podcast of 17 News at Sunrise. It's everything you need to know to start your day in about 15 minutes.
The Golden Empire. This is 17 News at Sunrise.
Good morning. Right now at 5, a vigil for a baby boy who died after falling from a central Bakersfield apartment window gets heated. What the boy's grandmother says about the night it happened.
Cases of the coronavirus are rising across our state, with ICU hospitalizations showing a sobering increase. We'll have the latest numbers coming up.
President Trump heads to Arizona today for a rally, and leaders of the megachurch where it's being held have made some claims about the new technology that medical experts are raising their eyebrows at on this Thursday, June 23rd, 2020. Good morning. It is 5 a.m. on this Tuesday. It's going to be another very hot day in the Golden Empire.
Yes, it is Tuesday. It was a toasty one yesterday, but we're going to see those temperatures continue to rise. Let's check in with Kevin. He's got your forecast.
Good morning, Maddie. Yeah, we are going to continue to warm things up. We were just outside not long ago, and it's definitely warm. And yesterday we hit 100 degrees. Normally we should be right around 93 this time of year. Our record of 110 set back in 2017. 77 out there, so it is a warm start to our Tuesday. We have a light wind out of the east-southeast at 3 miles per hour. And as we take a look at the hour-by-hour forecast for you today, 74 degrees by 7 a.m., 95 at noon, and by 3 o'clock we're looking at 101. Into the mountains, 59 degrees, no winds to talk about. We'll see a light breeze throughout the afternoon. As you can see here on our wind forecast, no major wind issues, but we'll see that light breeze pick up as we usually do in the afternoon. And hour by hour, 7 a.m., 64 degrees, 89 at noon, and by 3 o'clock we'll be right near 91. I'll have much more on your forecast that's coming up in just a little bit.
All right, Kev, thanks so much. New this morning here on Sunrise, a fire broke out in the early morning hours this morning. Here's a look at the scene of the fire that we just received moments ago. This all happened just after 3 a.m. at an auto body shop on Plans Road. The building itself was not on fire, but 2 cars were burning when fire crews arrived. No one was inside the building at the time of the blaze. No injuries were reported. So far, there's no word on how exactly the fire started, but arson crews were brought in to investigate a possible cause.
And now this morning to a tragic update to a story we first brought you here on Sunrise. The toddler who fell out of a window last week in downtown Bakersfield died over the weekend. Last night, family members fought over the baby's safety in the hands of his teenage parents about when it happened at the baby's vigil. 17's Amber Frias was there and has more on the story.
Police have released few details about the fall from a 3-story apartment window that killed 14-month-old Marky. The boy's family says they don't know much either, other than he fell out of the window as he was playing with his father on the bed. Dozens gathered outside Santa Fe apartment complex to remember baby Marky. The toddler fell out of the 3rd-floor window of his grandma's apartment in downtown Bakersfield.
He lit up the room. Anytime he'd walk in the room, I don't care what type of mood you're in, he would put a smile on your face because he glowed, he gleamed with just love.
Baby Marky was just 14 months old. His parents, 17 and 18, were living with Marky's maternal grandma.
They're teen parents, but they did a really good job with them.
The peaceful vigil turned tense after different sides of the family began arguing over the baby's death. Bakersfield police officers responded to the scene. Marky's parents didn't want to go on camera, and neither did his maternal grandmother. But she did share what she remembers from that night. She says Thursday she was in the kitchen when she saw Marky's parents run out of their bedroom and downstairs. She says Marky's parents picked up the baby and took him upstairs. She remembers he was having trouble breathing, and they called an ambulance. Baby Marky was pronounced brain dead on Friday. His parents chose to donate his organs to save others.
They were able to donate his heart, his liver, and and his pancreas. They did the transplant surgery last night, but she don't know details on that yet because it takes some time. She knows a little bit, but she was able to save 3 kids' lives. Or he was, I'm sorry.
The family wants to warn the public about possible GoFundMes that have been made using their name. They do plan to make one, but haven't done so just yet. Amber Frias, 17 News.
The search continues this morning for a man who went missing in the Kern River over the weekend. The family of David Godinez tells 17 News he disappeared at Cow Flat Creek on Saturday. The father of three was last seen by his youngest daughter when he went into the river, but he never came out. The family is from Los Angeles and says they came to the river for Father's Day because Godinez loves nature. Despite searching on the ground and using a helicopter, search and rescue crews say they have not been able to find Godinez.
Hospitalizations have jumped 16% over the last 2 weeks in California. The state saw 46,000 new cases of the coronavirus in recent days. The number of patients in intensive care in the state went up nearly 11%. This all comes just weeks after Governor Newsom allowed some counties to start opening back up and days after he issued a mandatory mask mandate. So far, 54 of the 58 counties in California are on their way to reopening. However, if the situation worsens, some of those counties could face the possibility of going backwards. And that brings us to our 17 interactive feedback poll. Today, we're asking, are you concerned that Kern County could lose the progress it has made toward reopening? Call or text us at 888-4617. Press 1 if you believe yes, 2 if no. You can also text, tweet, email, or Facebook your comments. Once again, that phone number is 888-4617. We'll air some of your comments and have the results from the poll coming up later on Sunrise.
Now to the latest numbers on the COVID-19 outbreak here in Kern County. Public health officials reported 75 new cases yesterday. That brings our county's total to nearly 4,000 cases. Kern County has had 60 deaths up to this point. Right now, nearly 1,200 people with the virus are isolated inside their homes. 66 people are in the hospital, with 41 people in the ICU as of Sunday. Now to new guidance from the CDC on wearing a mask. Experts say it's not as simple as just putting a cloth over your face. The CDC has a list of advice for anyone who wears a mask in public, which the agency recommends. You should wash your hands before putting it on, make sure it covers your nose and mouth, and secure it under your chin. It should fit snugly against the sides of your face, but make sure you can still breathe easily. The CDC says people should not let it hang around their necks or on their foreheads. Don't touch the covering, and if you do, wash your hands.
Golden Empire Transit is getting millions of dollars amid the coronavirus pandemic. That money is coming from the U.S. Department of Transportation's Federal Transit Administration. GetBus is set to receive $23.8 million for the services it provides in Bakersfield and surrounding communities in Kern County. Other transportation companies around the state are also getting money from the grant. It's part of the CARES Act signed by President Trump in March.
Now to a graduation ceremony that almost didn't happen because of COVID-19, and it is the first of many to be held this week in Kern County.
By virtue of your presence here tonight, I believe you are ready to face the challenges that await you in the future. I commend you in your perseverance to get here, and I commend you of overcoming a strange ending to your high school career.
Golden Valley High School held a graduation ceremony for its seniors with safety precautions put in place. Each graduate was allowed to bring 2 guests, but instead of sitting in the bleachers, the graduate and their 2 guests sat together on the football field.
Well, it's been crazy and like seeing
Ruby Lindsay Bautista.
KHSD is also live streaming this week's graduation ceremony so other family members do not have to miss out. And Maddie, I have to say, this is a very unique time, of course, that we're living in. And I know that a lot of seniors were originally very disappointed that they could not have their traditional graduation ceremonies. But again, it's one of those things where it's different as well because you get to sit with your family members, which I think is cool. And for a list of all the other graduation ceremonies in Kern County, just go to our website, kget.com.
Yeah, and there was a time that they didn't think they'd get any sort of graduation, so I am glad they're at least getting a semblance of one to mark this big transition. The time now is 5:09. A local athlete's heading to the Olympics.
Later on, 17's Taylor Schaub will introduce us to Lexi McLeod. Welcome back. Shafter is just another city trying to keep illegal fireworks out of the sky this summer.
It's not just a nuisance. Loud noise drives our pets crazy. We all recognize that. But I can tell you that there's a very real danger for property damage and fire.
That's Shafter Police Chief Kevin Zimmerman. He posted this video on Facebook saying there's been an uptick of illegal fireworks in the city. People can report those fireworks by calling 746-8500. That's for Shafter residents. Zimmerman says be as specific as possible and call while the fireworks are happening to help officers track down the people setting the fireworks off. And remember, it doesn't have to be the safe and sane seal from the state marshal. If it doesn't have the safe and sane seal from the state fire marshal, it is illegal. But even if you have a firework from a certified seller, cities have very specific rules on when you can use them. And usually it's only around the 4th of July. According to the county fire department, they've received nearly 1,600 reports of fireworks since last week. And the sheriff's office says they've also been getting calls about fireworks, but people have been calling 911. That can tie up dispatchers who have to take emergency calls. KCSO says if you want to report fireworks, go to the county fire department's website. Do not call 911 unless it is an emergency. And of course, you can head to our website, kget.com, for a list of numbers you can use to report illegal fireworks in Kern County. Pets are missing after a home burned down in central Bakersfield. We want to show you the aftermath after flames tore through a building on 31st Street, not too far from Memorial Hospital. Both city and county fire departments responded to the two-alarm fire yesterday, which broke out around 2:30 p.m. BFD says it's unknown how many people were displaced, but 2 dogs from the home are still missing. 2 women suffered smoke inhalation. Deputy Chief John Frando with the fire department says the fire was so intense and temperatures were so high that they needed more firefighters on scene to give each other breaks. The cause of the fire, it is still under investigation. Still to come this morning here on Sunrise, the coronavirus disproportionately impacts Black people in the United States. But aside from the health aspect, the virus is also taking a toll on minority-owned businesses. We'll have a look at that story coming up.
KGET Business Watch is brought to you by Grapevine MSP Technology Services, the Valley's leading IT service provider.
Welcome back to 17 Business Watch. A group of passengers are suing American Airlines for racial discrimination. The suit stems from a May 31st incident where a Black passenger asked if he could change seats. He says he wanted to space himself out from other passengers. The suit says a flight attendant told him to wait until boarding was complete. The man claims after everyone was on board, he asked if he could move closer to the front, which he says white passengers were already doing. The flight attendant called security to have him removed from the plane after telling him to sit down and lower his voice. 3 other Black passengers and 1 white woman were also kicked off after objecting to his removal and are also plaintiffs in the case. American Airlines claims the man was asking to move to first class and was not eligible for an upgrade. As most of the country reopens, many small businesses are reporting it might be too late for them. And that's especially true for Black-owned businesses. More than 40% closed during the coronavirus pandemic, and now they're just trying to stay above water. Phil Mattingly has more.
That's the sound the Jones sisters weren't sure they'd hear much longer. A customer buying their ice cream. For the owners of the Southwest Soda Pop shop, the coming summer months were the heart of this business.
We house, sodas, but, floats, milkshakes, ice creams, things like that.
Until the pandemic brought them on the brink of failure.
Instead of the 30 customers or 50 customers that we usually have on a regular weekday, it went from maybe 1 or 2, 3 or 4, because people were scared.
But it wasn't a piece of the trillions in federal government assistance that kept them alive.
We just didn't qualify initially for those programs that were out there.
They were shut out of the largest small business rescue program in U.S. history, the Paycheck Protection Program, running headlong into the structural issues that have hindered black-owned small businesses for decades and only been exacerbated by the pandemic. 41% of black-owned small businesses shuttered between February and April. Their white counterparts, less than 20%.
This is just laying bare all of the cracks and issues that were already there in this foundation and that people of color have been experiencing every single day.
The PPP was structured in a way to quickly kick hundreds of billions of dollars out the door. That same structure unintentionally entrenched those pervasive disadvantages, from lack of bank relationships and disincentives for banks to prioritize smaller loans, to the fact that more than 95% of black-owned small businesses are sole proprietorships, which limited the funds they could access.
I mean, a lot of it has to do with who has a seat at the table and who we think about in terms of who are the business owners that, are at risk of closing doors.
The Small Business Administration's Inspector General finding that, contrary to law, there was no initial prioritization for these underserved communities, and that no demographic data was collected, making it impossible to, quote, determine the loan volume to the intended prioritized markets. Federal officials have recognized the shortcomings and have scrambled to address them. But that push would have been too late for the Southwest Soda Pop shop, were it not for their own inventive effort.
The GoFundMe was originally my dad's idea. So you can imagine 4 young independent black women, we're like, Dad, a GoFundMe, that's kind of like begging. It took a lot of pride to the side for us to even send out the GoFundMes.
And this viral tweet. With more than $25,000 raised, the business is alive, distanced, masked, but still delicious.
This is only the beginning for us.
But it's also a window into just how acute the long-standing hurdles faced by black-owned businesses have become for a nation in crisis.
Twitter saved Southwest Soda Pop Shop.
It wasn't the government.
It was not the government. It was our community.
Here at home, members of the local black community came together to talk about ways to support one another. The National Association for Advancement of Colored People, known as the NAACP, invited people to take part in a virtual town hall meeting.
We're starting an organization, No Sister Left Behind organization here in Bakersfield. We send off for our nonprofit status. And so we're getting ready to serve the community in a greater way as well. So we will join in with you and other organizations that are ready to move the black community forward.
Your time now is 5:27, and coming up the next half hour here on 17 News at Sunrise, coronavirus cases are spiking in states across the nation, one of which is Arizona, where President Trump is set to hold a rally later today. We'll have more on that story for you coming up on the other side of the break.
President Trump holds a rally in one of the nation's coronavirus hotspots today after Saturday's turnout didn't match expectations and questions about whether he tried to scale back testing.
Tracy Potts has more from Washington.
Maddie, Alex, good morning. Good morning, everyone. President Trump heads into a political hotspot. Arizona is a state Democrats are hoping to pick up, and a coronavirus hotspot, one of nearly 24 states where the virus is spreading. Coronavirus is growing in 23 states, including Arizona, where President Trump visits the border and holds an indoor rally today. 2 campaign staffers who attended Saturday's rally have since tested positive.
I said to my people, slow the testing down, please.
The White House says that was a joke, though the president told CBN he prefers less testing.
So instead of doing 25 million tests, let's say we did 10 million tests, we'd look like we're doing much better.
Who thinks like that in the time of a raging pandemic?
Democrats are asking why $14 billion set aside for testing and contact tracing hasn't been spent.
What the heck is going on?
Federal health experts give Congress an update today. Dr. Anthony Fauci of NIH, the heads of the CDC and FDA, and the assistant secretary in charge of testing. In advance testimony, all 4 insist the pandemic isn't going away soon and could get worse this fall with flu season. Leaders of the megachurch where the president's rally is held today say they've installed a system in their building that kills 99% of coronavirus. Health experts are skeptical about that.
I'm Tracy Potts, 17 News.